Welcome to this episode of the Multifamily Mindset Growthcast. We're lucky today. We're out here in the Maui office, so we have a couple of guests with us. Max Whitney, how are you guys doing?
So good.
So good.
Good.
Amazing.
Good. We're excited to have you guys on. We're excited to share your guys' story to hopefully inspire others and help others take action. So we're super grateful and happy to have you guys on. Take a half hour
I get used
today.
to holding the
Thank you.
Growthcast in Maui.
Yeah.
Tell you that much.
Me too.
It
for
is.
sure.
It has been incredible
Beautiful.
being here.
Awesome. We're going to ask you guys some questions, so buckle up.
Okay.
So like I said, we have Max and Whitney Oliver on the Growthcast today. Super excited to have them on. They are new employees of the Multifamily Mindset. They work here in the Maui office with Tyler, Alec, and Matt. So we're gonna kind of go over their story, but I'm gonna default to Dallas to ask some of the questions because I know there's a couple things that you want to dive into. So
For sure. What's cool about Max and Whitney is we got to spend a whole day with them yesterday.
We did.
I mean, we've gotten to know them a little bit over the course of time. I've done a few interviews with them and had some experiences early on. And one thing that's very specific about Max and Whitney is you're attracted to them. Like you want to be around them. And that's why it's so fun to have these guys on the Growthcast because they have a very likable personality. And they just like bleed positivity out in everything they do. It's fun to be around them. And yesterday was like so fun to have them with us on that.
Yeah, I'm glad that you feel like that about us because we were stuck together yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah,
for a long time, many hours.
You guys were sitting right next to me in the back seat the whole
we
time.
were cuddling up.
Yeah,
real close.
yeah.
And I felt so comfortable. So thank you so much.
I really appreciate that.
But I think something that's really interesting about Max and Whitney, in fact, I'm going to let you guys share. Tell us how old you are.
21.
It's okay to share that.
Yeah, I'm 21.
And I'm 20.
And I kept thinking to myself yesterday, I can't even imagine having the opportunity that Max and Whitney have right now at 20 and 21. Like what a blessing.
Yeah.
But I also find it interesting that it's I don't find it interesting. I want to point this out. It's not by default.
Nope.
It wasn't by random chance.
Nope.
So how did you guys even get here to Maui? Like how did you end up finding an opportunity? It's not, a lot has transpired in your lives in the last 3 years. Share a little bit, not too much, but a little bit about how you even got here. Decisions that were made to get here.
Yeah, go for it.
For sure. Well, first of all, I just want to say like how grateful I am for this company and for the opportunities that we've been given because by no means was it us. Like really we stumbled upon this opportunity by chance and through relationships. And for those of you watching, we just recently moved out here to Maui just 2 weeks ago. And we've been working with MFM for a little bit longer than 2 weeks, but basically just started and have loved every second of it. Just connecting with the people here. We've specifically been in charge of social media and content on that end. And it has been incredible.
Yeah. To get here, it was a bit of a journey, though. We both, I guess you said the last 3 years, kind of where we've been.
Give us an overview.
So 3 years ago, we both were serving missions for our church, which is awesome. We loved it so much. And then Max got home in December. I got home in August. And we got married in April. So fun. Well, yeah, like literally we got married, I think 3 weeks ago. So we got married and then came right out and it's been so good. Pushed us a lot, but we do have a lot of goals for our future and for right now, day-to-day stuff that's helped us to get where we are today.
For sure. That was a really quick
Goals,
overview.
yeah, there it is.
I liked how specific it was about goals, though.
Yeah.
We were talking about this before we started recording that it wasn't, you said it was kind of by luck, but really she transitioned and it's not by luck. You have goals and the decisions you've made in the past 3 years have all come back to that central point of we have goals, you know, and that's how you've based your decisions. So my question for you is, a lot of people would look at what you guys have done in the last couple weeks as risky. It's like you're working with a new company, a new position,
Just
moving
got
away
married.
from home, have no family out here whatsoever, just got married. Might even be risky for some people to think that you got married at 20 and 21. Like people would view that. There's a lot of people that would view that as a risk even, right? Mm-hmm. Like when it comes to risk, what drives your decision making with risk? And like how important is risk with growth?
That's a good question.
and goals?
Yeah.
That's a really good question.
Well, I think just starting off, one thing that I've realized, we've been married for 3 weeks now. And one of the big lessons that I've learned is like how different we are. We love the same things, and I think that's why we get along well, but we are very different in the way we make decisions. So I think as we go through, we can talk about those differences.
So Max,
Yeah.
when it comes to risk, when it comes to taking risks, calculated risks,
Yeah.
how's that mental process look for you? Because I watched you yesterday and you're jumping off stuff that's super high, pulling tricks. You're pretty risky.
Yeah.
I mean, you did some things I would never dare do.
Yeah.
You're pretty brave.
Whitney as well. We'll get to you, Whitney.
Yeah, we're gonna get there.
Don't leave that out. That was
We'll
weird.
highlight your experiences too, for sure.
But when it comes to risk, like how do you go about the decision-making process?
So I think kind of going back to goals and how I said we just stumbled upon this opportunity and were brought out here by luck. I think there's a huge part of setting a goal that opens up your mind to certain opportunities, right? And when you set that goal, you have to be very flexible in the way that you go about achieving that goal. You can't you can't set a goal and say, I know exactly how I'm going to get there, because
It's really powerful.
Yeah.
you really don't.
Sometimes you can. Sometimes you can set a goal and be like, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do
Totally.
this,
Yeah.
and that, and I'm going to achieve my goal. But sometimes you set a goal without really knowing how you're going to accomplish it, but it's something that you want to accomplish. And then you're totally right. It's being aware of those opportunities that come up and taking action on those opportunities that do just kind of present themselves. But none of those things would have presented themselves if you wouldn't have set that goal. So I totally agree. Setting that goal is probably the biggest thing of deciding when to take risk and not. Is it in line with that goal?
Yeah.
Yeah, especially
Sure.
long-term goals. I feel like long-term goals are the ones that it kind
Yeah.
of just, the path gets a little bit, I guess, weedy, or just different routes are taken to get there. But
Yeah. Pivoting and revising and returning back to that goal. For sure. That's something that Dallas talks about a ton.
So
Yeah.
you didn't have a goal to work for a multifamily investment company.
no.
What's the goal?
Well, for me, the goal was to get married. And then the goal was to prepare to have a family. And I'm 20 years old. And so I obviously know that, having a family is going to come later on. But getting married was like something that happened very quickly, faster than I anticipated. And then just, for example, being able to provide. Then this is where the decision came to come
Please
out to
pay
Maui.
attention to the layers as we go through this
Yeah,
process.
Yeah. And I was looking for jobs, doing a bunch of projects for my dad, and stumbled upon a sales job in Hawaii. And I was on the phone with the guy I think he was in Oahu, and my dad overheard the conversation and was like, dude, you want to go to Maui? You want to go live in Hawaii? I didn't even know that. Why didn't you tell me? And I was like, it was just kind of an idea, just a thought that I had. I thought it would be really cool to, while Whitney and I are young without kids, to just go experience something, And my dad happened to know Tyler. They work really closely together. And basically was like, yo, I've got a guy who lives out in Maui and would love to talk to you. And so we linked up with Tyler, and one thing led to another. And basically it turned out to be, this awesome opportunity that we could take the decision on and go for it.
Yeah.
When I make decisions, like you said, I am a risky person. But I also don't feel like I am afraid of failure.
Yeah.
I think being afraid of failure stops so many people from making amazing decisions, and decisions that can get them out of traps or out of loops in life. You go to your 9-to-5 job and it sucks, and you come home and you're tired, and your relationships aren't very good, but it's making risky decisions that would get people, or risky, I say that with quotes, risky, but it really is those decisions that are, that determine your path. So
Love that. Do you have anything you want to add, Whitney?
Totally.
Yeah.
Do you want to share my
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah,
Perspective's
Max
everything.
is-
So I'd love to hear your guys' different takes on it for sure.
Okay, yeah, Max, he explained it very well. He is very good at taking risks, about being, I'd say, brave. And at first, I was so against it. I'm the stereotypical, like, simple, follow one path and go. But he's helped me a lot to realize that there's a lot of opportunities. And it was really cool because when we were first thinking of coming to Hawaii for a job that he got offered, it was like, okay, but what would I do? I kind of want to be able to work. And I love videography, so how can we implement that there? We were just trying to figure it out. But it was cool how it was all led through straight to this. And I know we're both really spiritual, and like we know that God definitely had a hand in every step of it. Like we owe it all to him for sure, because a lot of prayer and trying to figure out what we need to do. And I think that's the biggest one for me, is it's a lot of prayer and then acting, and you just go with it. I can't second guess. I can't just think of, okay, what are the worst possibilities? Just like jumping off that huge cliff.
Yeah.
I had to just be like, you know what? This is just, we gotta just do it. You just run and do it.
Yeah.
Like
So
all of
before
us.
you jumped off the cliff, like let's capitalize on that. I think that's such an awesome comparison. You didn't sit and think through your brain for 10 straight minutes of like, oh my gosh, what if I jump and I jump short?
Yeah.
Just to give you reference, we had to jump in like a small hole.
Yeah.
Probably this big, actually.
That like was, if you didn't hit it, you were gonna hit the cliff face.
Yeah.
You didn't sit and think about that forever?
No, you can't.
If you would have, what would have happened?
Oh, I definitely wouldn't have done it.
We would have
There's
made you back
no
in the
way.
truck, for
Yeah,
sure.
There's no way. And that's the cool thing, is like, I think that another big part of like something that complements each other is that he's very good at seeing the opportunity and just going for it as well. And so it helps me, where I am more of the think through it, but in the sense of like, okay, there's a point of like, you just have to take the risk and go for it, or you can just sit here all day and then lose the opportunity.
I think that's such a valuable piece in the goal setting process and the growth process, is having a partnership similar or exactly the way you guys are cultivating this early on. You know, my partnerships in my life, whether it's a spouse or Jackson or Tyler, is we all play different roles. I can bounce things off of Jackson. You know, we have different personalities, but we understand the principle of not thinking about the things that we can't control. And whenever one of us gets stuck in that trap, we're able to help bring each other out of that trap and focus on what we can control. And I think that's a really powerful component to growth, is having partnerships around you that can help you recognize when you're getting caught in a trap, push you when you need to, but also like bring you back when you need to. I watched Max go out. Were you watching Max when he went out boogie boarding yesterday?
No.
Dude, he was way out there. And I think partnerships also have this factor of that serve that other role, which is like when you get too far out there and things get dangerous and you get too far away from the path, that's why partnerships are so valuable, because that person can reel you back in. And that's what I wanted to do with Max yesterday. He was way out there. I just want to reel him back. I'm like, whoa, bro, way out there.
Take
Like,
it
get
easy.
back to the path.
you mind if I add on to that
Yeah, go
too?
ahead.
Because in this decision of coming out to Maui, and actually a lot of decisions that we've been making, getting married at 20, and then we bought our first car. It was great. Big decisions.
Big, nice car.
But for us at least.
Dodge minivan.
Dodge Caravan.
Bright red. I am very, very open-minded. And in fact, I know I'm a little too open-minded. And I mean, if you can be too open-minded, just and we talked about this yesterday, I'm very like attracted to shiny objects and just like open to really any ideas. And Whitney, she's open to ideas, but she's very analytic about how she goes about making those decisions or taking risks. And so we complement each other on that front.
That's why partnerships are so important, right? Is because you complement each other, analytical, risk taker. It's perfect. It's perfect. Another thing with partnerships that I've realized with Dallas is a lot of the times you already know something. And it's just hearing it for that second time is sometimes you need to hear it, right? That happens with Dallas and I a lot. We know what we need to do, but sometimes you just need to hear it again from another source to make sure that it happens. That's such a crucial part to partnerships.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
And I think if we talk about like an actionable is if you don't have a partner, or if you do have a partner, before you make a big decision, talk to them about it.
Yeah.
Be open with them about it, because perspective is huge.
Yep.
Totally.
And making a lot of these decisions on my own, would have been terrible. I know I would have.
It would have been hard for sure.
It would have been very hard, and I would have failed, and that would have been okay, and I would have learned. But because I have another perspective, her perspective, a lot more analytic than my perspective, we are able to come.
It's just awesome to hear. Yeah, that is a good idea.
Yeah.
From somebody else
is.
that thinks different than you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
I love the
Yeah.
way this is morphed, because a lot of the times when we talk on the Growthcast, on these extended cuts, we're diving deep into a principle and compartmentalizing it as an individual. Like, how can I apply this? How can I apply this? And it's so valuable, and that's why we do it. But I think it's important and just fun that this cultivated in a manner that's, hey, it takes a team. It takes a team to grow. It takes a team to achieve your goal. It takes partnerships. It takes cultivating the right types of partnerships where you can serve those roles that are needed across the board when it comes to making decisions, when it comes to taking calculated risks, when it comes to being analytical, when it comes to being a dreamer. I mean, and the list, there's all these different things we have to look at. And you guys have been a great example to me watching you guys the last couple of days. And we're so grateful that they're on our team.
Yeah.
We're so grateful that you get to play that partnership role in our company, and that's one thing, is we're all on the same playing field. That's one great thing about the multifamily mindset, and I think is an actionable for all of us in any industry, is no matter where you're at, like that hierarchy, right? Like when it comes to growth, when it comes to the things we're discussing, the playing field is even. We're all on the same playing field, and we have to approach it in that manner so that we can help each other, for sure.
100%.
So true.
I wanted to dive a little bit more into risk with you, Max. What does it look like when you're making a decision with risk? Is it just straight confidence in yourself that you're going to be able to do it because you've cultivated that confidence over accomplishing many difficult, hard tasks? What does making that decision to be risky look like for you?
Yeah.
Or is it just in your blood and it's just like, yeah, that's what I got to do?
One interesting thing about Max is he is confident. Talk confidence, man. Like, where did that come from?
For sure. I was not always a confident person, and I always and there's a big topic about, is confidence being prideful, and I always thought a lot of that was, and so maybe I was a little bit scared to be confident, but it wasn't until my service mission that I felt like I really, really gained confidence in myself and my abilities, and a lot of that comes through my relationship with God. But something that I used a lot when trying to convince Whitney
Help me.
Help Whitney.
help Whitney to come out here is that if one person's done it, then why can't we do it?
Regular old Joe down the street
Yeah.
says that
If
all the time.
regular old Joe down the street can do it, then why can't I do it? And I looked at it the same way. We're climbing up a big wall yesterday, and we were watching Tyler
And this was
Devereaux
unbelievable. Honestly, I was watching and I was like,
climb up
I was
this wall.
questioning myself.
There were no handholds. The wall was so slippery, and we were like, oh my gosh, Tyler, like, you're just beating a dead horse. There's no way you're gonna get up this wall.
Yeah.
And he gets up it, and I was like, oh my gosh, he totally did that. So I was like, I'm gonna go do that. And I slipped, and it took me a long time, but I got up that wall, and it just, that same principle kind of landed, that if one person can do it, why can't another person do it?
It's the belief.
So if people move out to Maui and it works great, and they buy cars and it works great, and they get married, it works great, why can't we do it? We're capable human beings and driven human beings. Like, why does that stop us from anything? So before I take risks, and why I'm confident with taking risks, is because I know that a lot of things have already been done
It's
in this
powerful.
world.
It is.
It's really powerful. I want to point out one other thing. Whitney, what'd you do? Share this action. What'd you do? Max just shared all that. And during that situation where he was like, oh, I can do that. So he climbs up the thing right after
Oh,
Tyler.
yeah, that's funny.
yeah.
Mind you, Whitney and I got up before Max.
Yep.
He went the hard way.
Wrecked
Whitney,
him.
what did you do? Did you just accept that as like, oh, that's the only way?
No.
I look
And that's
across the
what's
freaking
funny,
river, and
yeah.
this is where Whitney's at. Go ahead.
I just looked across, and there's like a perfect little way to just climb up on your feet. So I just hopped up and went up and just
She
cheered on
almost
Max.
beat Tyler up. I look over and I'm like, oh my
Oh, yeah.
gosh, Whitney's on the cliff face over there. And I'm like, she's going to get up before Tyler. And she goes up this like route that's much easier that nobody saw.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great analogy for the way this has all panned out with partnerships and growth is they help you to see your blind spots. They help you to see things that you don't see. You know, and Whitney saw something that Tyler and myself and maybe because we're men and we're like, we got to be bad A's, you know, and we're going to go up the hard way. But Whitney goes over and she gets up there, exerts less energy,
Yeah.
and I followed Whitney. I go over to Whitney's spot and I got up and I was like, wow,
Smarter.
this was like way easier.
Yep. Smarter, not harder.
But I think that's that path principle, right? Like there's
Yeah.
more than one way to get there.
Totally.
And if you choose to stick it out alone, it's probably going to take you longer, right? And if it doesn't, it's gonna be lonelier. That's for dang sure. You know, Tyler would have been way lonely up there at that. Tyler would have got up there by himself, but it would have sucked because he would have been there by himself, and he would have enjoyed all that by himself and not been able to share it with anybody. And I think those are just valuable principles, and I'm so happy that this panned out the way it has with partnerships and growth and routes and playing to strengths and complementing each other with these principles that we talk about on the Growthcast. And I appreciate you guys for sharing those experiences with us yesterday. It was so
of course.
valuable.
I think that's a perfect place to end. Thank you so much for being on the Growthcast with us.
Yeah, of
It was
course.
super
Of course.
enjoyable. We haven't had a guest on in a minute. So, I
Yes.
mean, it was super nice to have you guys on, and I'm sure our listeners are going to super enjoy it as well. So thanks, you guys.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
If
Oh,
you'd
thank
like to
you so
follow
much.
Max and Whitney, you can follow them at Max_Oliver.
Yeah,
Max
what's your guys' handles?
I think
I think
mine's-
they're both Max Oliver _ and then Whit Oliver _
Look at
And
that.
they
You
are
guys rich.
content kings and queens.
Yeah.
They're so amazing.
Yeah.
They make our lives so much better and provide our work with so much value, and we appreciate them so
Yeah.
much.
And if you haven't subscribed and rated the podcast, please do so. It gives us the ability to reach more people and a larger audience. So please rate, review, and share with those that you think would enjoy the podcast as well. So have a great rest of your day. Thanks for tuning in with us. Take care.
Boom.